Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, wherever you are. Welcome. I'm Edwardes, the head of marketing at TrackPod, and on behalf of the whole team, allow me to welcome you to this webinar. We are very excited to explore the topic of mastering route optimization and electronic proof of delivery software for distribution businesses, as we have some very distinguished speakers ready to share their insights with you today. So, without further ado, allow me to introduce them to you. We have Steve Delfatti, the Senior Manager Supply Chain Solutions at Imperial Dade Canada, joining us today. Steve has over 26 years of supply chain experience, and his current responsibilities include the identification of functional gaps as well as the definition, development, testing, and deployment of solutions across Imperial Dade Canada, the leading independent distributor of packaging, chemicals, janitorial supplies, and printing paper in Canada. Welcome, Steve.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Nice to be here.
Thank you, Steve. We are also joined by Forrest Russman, the Chief Logistics Innovation Officer at Meals on Wheels, Southwest Ohio and Northern Kentucky, a charity on a mission to deliver essential services that promote the independence of seniors so they may remain in the comfort of their own homes. Forrest leads the strategy to improve efficiency of the company's logistics operations via digitalization and process automation based on his vast experience working with such industry giants as UPS. Welcome, Forrest.
Thank you so much. Very excited to be here today.
Thank you. Last but not least, we are also joined by TrackPod's very own Giedre Chesnulevichine. Giedre assists customers based in the United Kingdom and Canada in reaping all the benefits of TrackPod, the all-in-one platform for last-mile route optimization, order management, and ePOD, resulting in improved operational efficiency and better customer satisfaction. Welcome, Giedre.
Hello, everybody. It's a pleasure to have such great company and be among such great company tonight.
Thank you, Giedre. So it seems that everyone's mics are on, the cameras are on, and we are ready to start. But before we jump into the discussion, I'd like to remind our audience that you are able to ask questions. Simply type them in the chat box, and we will try to answer them either during the discussion or at the end of the webinar. Now, why don't we start with conversation by looking at some of the challenges distribution companies face when implementing software solutions for route optimization and ePOD. I'd like to address this to Steve first. Steve, in your experience, what do you think those main challenges are, and how can companies overcome them?
Thank you. That's a great question, and always in the mind of every distribution company. As increased demands from customers and requirements to make deliveries on time, setting up appointments, and basically delivery time windows are getting tighter. So their expectations are to make deliveries within a certain period of time throughout the day. They may have receiving that's closed during lunch hours, etc., etc. They also want to have an open communication and transparency of where their orders are at during the delivery cycle. Without an optimization solution, it'd be very difficult to get to meet those targets without that planning that is done ahead of time. So in TrackPod, we know when you build a solution for a delivery method to go around and meet those targets, it will be optimized, meaning your drivers will meet those targets, and that is the plan. The next challenge would be to monitor those drivers and to make sure that they do meet those times. And with the TrackPod solution and the web-based tracking and the manual mobile solution that the drivers do, we will get real-time information as to any part of the day to see exactly if they're going to meet those targets. If they do not achieve some of those targets, we will also see notifications popping up. If they make deliveries that isn't fulfilled for damages or partials, which is a requirement of the customers, they want to see all their products come in, we will get notified of those things. Now, it's not just an internal stakeholder that gets notified. We have the capability of actually giving this transparency to the customer. So what's nice about the solution that TrackPod offers is it will specifically show that customer only their orders, not everybody's orders, it's just theirs. So the capability is really nice to be transparent, to ensure that they get notified if there's any changes to their orders for that day. And it's very important that we keep communication lines open. So with notifications of telling them we're leaving the building that morning and you have a delivery, we will give them that time window that they're expecting to see their orders. And prior to arriving there, they're next in delivery, they get another notification telling them how many minutes away. Any concerns is brought up forward. It's always transparent in the company's in the customer's eyes. So those increased requirements require that real-time reporting. You're going to hear a lot of us talking about visibility. So they want to see their orders. They want to be able to get notified of when any variances happen. They want to have the final proof of deliveries, which is also key for distribution companies to have proof of deliveries available to present to the customers. Without a solution, everything is manually done. In the past, in my experience, many distribution companies have the drivers go out, take packing slips with them or whatever to get a signature on a piece of paper. With the electronic signatures that TrackPod offers, that proof of delivery is immediate. It's real time. We don't have to wait for drivers to come back to the branches, make copies of those signatures and send them off when they're required or pull them from files. So it's very nice to have a solution that could do all of these. And the last challenge is to make sure that the spend will give you value. So of course, with using a solution like TrackPod or a software solution that could do that, it will give you value on the fact that you're reducing effort, manual effort, many hours of pulling PODs or having a phone call come in and saying, where is my order? They have that information at their fingertips. And that is the key to servicing a customer and bringing value to all of our customers.
Excellent.
There is one more thing I want to mention about the challenges. So you have to find a solution that is easy to use, easy to train, especially for your drivers and dispatchers. I don't know how many of those mentioned to me that I'm not a computer guy. Well, it's self-intuitive. The solution that TrackPod offers is one of the easiest, and it makes sense to drivers on how to complete an order. No more jumping around different pages and opening up on their phones or tablets. It is self-intuitive, and it makes sense for a driver to choose the orders they're delivering, choose the customer, choose the order, any issues, select that. It's all visible. If you could read it, you could do it. It flows nicely.
Thank you, Steve, for sharing this. So the keywords that I keep hearing, the need for transparency, the need to inform the customers, the need to actually inform them about the delivery in real time. And we also are talking about the probably easiness of implementation and basically manageable operations. As far as nonprofit sector, as a sector itself, it has its own challenges, but how about the adoption of technology to improve logistics? Maybe you could give some advice to other nonprofits organizations looking to enhance their distribution processes through technology?
Yes, that's a great question, and it is challenging to justify the cost of implementing any change, significant change like this. But one of the things that we keep in mind and was part of the motivation here is when we're having discussions with funders or the governmental contract services, we're able to talk to them about a solution based on the software that creates an efficiency that saves money and actually generates more value for the contributions that they give to the organization. So as better service efficiency converts into operational savings, that also sets us apart from other nonprofits in the area. And I think that a lot of people may misunderstand that nonprofit sector is not a sector, it's not competitive. It's very competitive. And when we can set ourselves apart and show that we can serve more seniors in our case than other agencies at a lower cost, that's a significant advantage. And it ensures that we will continue to get the referrals to continue to grow the business and benefit even further from implementation of technology like this. So that's very important part of our discussions now. One of the challenges, though, that I think any nonprofit is going to face is if you don't have a system like this that offers that visibility that Steve was talking about, it's very difficult for a nonprofit to justify implementing something like this. And I think that it's really important for an organization to do its due diligence to understand the true cost of not implementing a system like this. What's being left on the table if they can't apply efficiencies from a system that is as robust as this, and that can be very difficult to do. It was difficult for me, and I was very, very grateful that you guys let me have the ability to practice with a number of routes, just so that I could establish a kind of like a benchmark of expense compared to what we were doing before the system. So that really helped justify our need. I think the other challenge that should also be considered is, as I was searching for the various systems out there, and we went through about 6 different applications, the impact to stakeholders outside of the driver and the client is pretty significant. And your system has the ability to have the flexibility where we can minimize the impact to our finance team, to our customer service team, and actually make a better environment for that customer interaction with our customer service team, not just the driver and the client. And by doing that and seeing that wasn't kind of an important factor for some of the other applications that I was exploring, it really helped us decide that this was the right one for this organization, because it didn't just help with the delivery solution. It helped with the entire interaction from the origination of the order until final delivery, and how that's billed and how it's reported to client services and all of those things. So understanding that a system like this can have a much greater impact than just the delivery is also pretty important for us.
Thank you for sharing this first. It just strikes when you think that some businesses are looking for a single solution to a single problem, and when discovering that sometimes technology and software solutions may open additional doors to solving some other problems as well. And when we can start talking about actually how a single solution then helps different stakeholders within the organization. Gather, from your customer success perspective, what are the key considerations for businesses when transitioning to a new last mile delivery management or ePOD platform? Do you have any tips and tricks for businesses that would ensure a smooth implementation and maximize the benefits of the solutions we implement?
There are a few things to take into account and to consider. The very important factor is clear communication, what your expectations as a customer, as a distributor are, and what we as a vendor can offer. Can we match those requirements? Another important factor to consider is resource management. Financial, human hours, time efficiency, any third-party integrations that need to be looked at. So everything needs to be out on the table so we can tailor TrackPod as best to suit to your workflow as possible. As I mentioned, clear communication on the challenges that you as a business might be looking into solving is probably the most important thing to begin with. But again, as you and Forrest mentioned, TrackPod is not sort of just the delivery management solution. It is much more and works on a much wider angle than just deliveries.
Thank you, Gedra. So we've got the challenges, we've got a few considerations that businesses in distribution should consider before actually engaging software providers. Thank you for sharing those great insights. Let's look at the performance and how businesses measure their success. Coming back to you, Steve, in the context of distribution, what are the key performance indicators that you believe are most positively influenced by the implementation of delivery confirmation software? Could you share how these improvements translated into any measurable benefits for Imperial Dade Canada, maybe?
Let me unmute myself first. Yeah, our key performance indicators. What was nice about the TrackPod system is it has all the data required, but we wanted to make sure that we had the benchmarks and the analytics behind it. And I know that they've done a little bit of custom work for us, but the data was all there. So the front end, the website was designed to actually track what we were looking for, which was once we have our drivers out there, what were the key differences and how do we know that they're actually performing, making those targets that we're demanded from our customers. So the first one was, are they traveling less miles or kilometers in my case than what was the plan? This is important because it's drivers that may deviate throughout the day, which brings it to our attention that they may have traveled more kilometers in that particular route, so we can go back and ask them why. But most of it has been dropped to less kilometers. They're following the plans to previously having TrackPod. So kilometers from plan versus actual, and the actuals actually show exact kilometers driven and the routes they take. So the second one was, how much time are they spending out there making deliveries? When we first started with TrackPod in the first month, we're looking at averaging 23 minutes per delivery. We're down to 16 minutes per delivery, which is very good savings, meaning you save 8 minutes, per stop. And on average, they have about 11 stops, which adds up to over an hour of extra time that we could give them more stops for. So just to have that data available to us, we know that we are in the right spot of saving money every time we have our drivers go out there and using TrackPod. So we know that they're meeting those targets. Are they completing all of the orders is another one. So did they complete all orders requested from them that day? We have the available data in that analytics tool as well to say everything was complete, or if there was a partial, or if there was any damages to the orders, or if there was any refusals. That information is readily available for anyone in our company that has access to the websites, which is a really wonderful tool. ETAs and updated ETAs. The nice thing about that is, are they meeting our delivery times that we have committed to? The updated ETA happens every 5 minutes. We get an updated ETA. So if the driver's behind or ahead of the game, those ETAs are open and available for not only our internal customers, which is customer service and all of our departments and dispatch, but also the customer. If we get notifications, we will send them an updated ETA when it happens. So they'll know whether they're going to be earlier or a little bit late. The time windows are not hard set. meaning if it's from 10 to 11, usually if you're, a few minutes early, they'll take you in. If you're a few minutes late, or you wait, right? Or if you're a few minutes late, they understand that we're there. We're around the corner. Delivery accuracy, again, with all of that data, knowing that everything has been delivered, every item has been delivered complete without damage. If there are, easy driver interaction to let us know that there is a damage on that item and they were short delivered, etc., etc. Those key performance, customer satisfaction rating, which is nice. There's a tool in the driver's app where the customer could actually rate the deliveries, each and every delivery being sent to them, which is nice to see. It's a rating up to 5 stars, and I think we're hitting 4.8, something like that, stars, which is really nice to see. The customers are happy with the delivery that we're making. The time at each stop, as I mentioned before, the comparisons of those is really nice from plan versus actual. So when we beat those times to actually complete a delivery at a customer, we know that they are following the systems that we have and the practices that we have put in place, and everything is good. It all comes down to bottom line and route efficiency. And if the drivers have the right tools to communicate with our internal stakeholders and external stakeholders. So there is no manual effort in gathering data after the fact. We have it all there, and I could go back into history and say, okay, for this month, we have saved X amount of dollars based on the times it took to deliver and the distances, which converts into fuel consumption, for us to verify that the savings and the value added to our company is worth the spend.
Excellent. Thank you very much, Steve. As you noted in the very beginning, it seems that quite a lot of things are going to be related to the actual visibility, right, of what's happening on the route. Thank you for sharing this. Forrest, could you share any specific examples from Meals on Wheels where the adoption of software has enhanced overall logistics efficiency for your organization?
Sure. I think one of the challenges is that we did not have a software solution in place that provided enough visibility to really benchmark and have an accurate comparison to what TrackPod did for us. But the timing was perfect. We had a situation where the county had reached out to us to help cover an emergency situation where we had a couple of hundred clients from another organization that was going out of business, and we were already maxed. But it just so happened that it coincided with the time that we were bringing TrackPod into the system, or into our system, and we were able to take something from outside of organization, a large number of clients, and build that into what was essentially new routing tool for the rest of our routes. And it could not have been a better display of kind of like a real world situation of taking something that under a current situation would have been nearly impossible and put us over our capacity, and making it fit into a much more efficient solution. And that allowed, a couple hundred seniors to receive their meals every week, to not be interrupted. They saw a different van outside of their house, but for the most part, they continued to receive their meals on time for the next couple of months, until those clients became permanent clients of ours. But yeah, that was a pretty significant event for us, and the timing just worked. It was great.
Amazing. Talking about scalability, right? That software provides sometimes, especially in this case when you actually need that. Thank you very much for sharing that. Let's talk a little bit about change management. Implementing software solutions to improve operational efficiency will require some change management in one way or another. Steve, could you share any insights into how you effectively communicated and managed the adoption of software solutions within your organization?
Sure. So the only constant in life is change nowadays. The world seems to be moving at a rapid pace, and there's always change. So in order to be successful in any implementation, you have to understand the change and how it impacts users. Usually when our users or anyone who's affected it hears that there's a change coming, the question they ask is, how does it affect me? Will it save me time? Will it make me work harder? Those are the questions that you need to hear from your voice of the customers, voice of your internal stakeholders. And with change, you could prove whether it's going to be a positive or a negative impact, right? The changes you want to implement into your workplace is always going to be a positive if you can. And it does. And when I'm saying if you can, meaning when a driver says, "Oh my gosh, now I have to actually capture a signature with a pen on my pad," they have to understand that change impacts the stream download. It makes people's lives easier in the end. So implementing these changes is basically to identify the pain points that you want to get rid of within your process of distribution. So identifying those pain points, then you go back to those stakeholders that may have that pain and say, listen, with this change, you will remove the pain that you're facing now. Customer service, for example, is a good example in this. When we notify customers that their deliveries are out on a truck today and notifying them exactly when we will show up, there is no need to call our customer service group because they have the information readily available at any time through a link, a click of the button, and they do not have to call someone else to say, hey, where is my order? And that's the effective part about the change. The positive acceptance is there because there's a positive impact to their lives. TrackPod, when I rolled this out, had no negative impact truly on any of our processes because it's well thought out for larger companies like mine or smaller companies that have that information, where it makes your lives easier. It's easy to read, it's easy to understand, but it's really accurate data as well. So don't need to convolute it all. The pain goes away by implementing such things like this. To train is the other part of change, is to train people on how to use the application. And as I said, it's very self-intuitive. You load it up, and it pulls in what you're looking for. There are some nice things to have as custom fields that we've put in. So the language between TrackPod's initial setup is now mirrored to the language of your company that you're using this for. So training is simple. We rolled this out in early 2021, almost at the peak of a pandemic. So I didn't have a chance or a team to go out and train drivers on the use of the mobile solutions. And we're going, well, you know what? It's pretty self-intuitive. So I've just made some videos on myself doing a delivery and sending those videos out through their phones, and they sat through it and they understood it. If they had questions, then we would send them a fake route to go and practice a few, short deliveries, a few late calls. But that was the easiest training method that I had to get to them, and they picked it all up. Not an issue with them learning that through videos. So those demo videos that I sent to them, beautiful. So training was not a hardship. For the rest of the company, for the web base, we just had some team meetings and showed them what information you're looking for, set them up, and away they went. So that was also very nice. So that plan of rolling out I guess we have 12 branches across the country here with 110 drivers and over 600 people tapping into the web base was done very quickly in a short period of time. So they understood the value of this change, that it would impact their lives a lot easier, make things a lot easier for them, and that was a success. So unlocking that value was what we were looking at for this change, and it was my pleasure bringing this in. And I think everyone in our company as well appreciates the fact that TrackPod brings that value to them.
That's awesome to hear. Thank you for sharing. We've got an audience question to Forrest in this case. And it is as the following. How different is it to work on software-related implementation changes at a company like UPS and then at Meals on Wheels? Are there any specific challenges that would, are different in comparison to the two companies?
Vastly different. Let's see. At UPS, we had an army of industrial engineers and technology support systems that would be able to justify, vet a system, implement, and kind of ensure that each step of the process is highly regulated to see success at the end. And UPS in its history, does a very good job of taking even beta systems, and if there is a good representation of savings, implementing them to capitalize on that as soon as possible. Quite different for a nonprofit. Even one of our size, we're rather large in terms of the number of clients that we serve, number of meals that we serve compared to others across the country. And that support doesn't exist, right? So for the corporate model, where you have those support systems, they don't exist here. So there's a lot of effort from the few that are working on implementing something like this, and there's a lot of sharing of responsibilities from the top to the bottom to ensure its success. So everybody gets in the weeds when you're trying to put together a project like this, and I think that can be rather difficult in testing the limits or the abilities of someone's technical experience or expertise when bringing those systems together. But it's been worth it for us, even overcoming those challenges. But yeah, for sure, it's quite different.
Thank you. That was the question by Tom Light. Thank you, Tom, for the question. We've got a few more about TrackPod specifically, so we'll take those at the end of the webinar. Coming back now to change management. Giedra, as a customer success manager, you work closely with clients during the implementation of TrackPod. Can you share a notable success story where effective collaboration with a client led to significant improvements in the distribution processes and the lessons learned?
There are a lot of cases that I could think of and share. I think the one that I would like to note down is actually very similar to what Steve has mentioned in terms of change management also. So I was helping to onboard a furniture warehousing and delivery business. They have come to us due to an increased number of orders, which grew very rapidly and unexpectedly due to competitor business closing down. And they found themselves at the end of their wits, trying to manage all of the deliveries, trying to maintain some sanity and not to sort of lose out on any deliveries. So with them implementing TrackPod, we have managed to reach an increase from 75% of successfully completed orders to 90%, which also impacts the revenue growth quite significantly. And that was all achieved in the first quarter of them using TrackPod. It was a fairly straightforward implementation. They did require an API integration, but our API is open-ended. So as long as you have some developer skills, it is very easy to implement. And of course, we offer as much support as we are able to. Introducing when they've started using TrackPod, they've actually decided to implement after a few calls. They've implemented many more features, not just order management, but they've implemented customer notifications, which reduce the man hours of customer support and sales teams. So they would go through anywhere from 4 to 5 phone calls to confirm the delivery. The customer at that point, their end customer, had a lot of control over the ETA. So they would choose the times. They had a lot of sort of flexibility with introducing the notifications, such as when the delivery is scheduled for, when the delivery is en route. And the updated ETA, it ensured that the deliveries aren't missed. Somebody is at the door to greet the new sofa coming in, which again successfully increased the revenue growth. So I think it is probably one of my favorite stories to share, because it was that success story was achieved in such a short amount of time with just a little bit of cooperation and a few video calls from the two companies. And that's it.
Gidra, I love that story. And it brought back my memory the first time we sent out a notification to the customer, and they were so grateful that they were texting me, and they sent the driver, they said, thank you so much, and this is a wonderful, wonderful tool. Those notifications are truly the communication that no one has to do, like with a phone call, that saves so much time. We started off with that one, and we're now up to 6,000, over 6,000 customers that are getting notified of their deliveries that are on our fleet. And it is a nice, really nice tool to communicate and keep in touch with the customer. And the sales folks won't get the call, so they could start selling more. So that is the key to gain that savings, efficiencies, and that open communication that in today's world, I could tell you, the millennials are coming up and taking over those management positions. The Gen Zs are right behind them. They grew up, and so are we in the last few years, used to having information readily available at any time. So they really do appreciate that. And it is becoming an expectation to keep in touch throughout the whole process of the supply chain as to where their order is at. Just wanted to throw that in there. It is nice, successful stories when you get those. Thank you for the notifications.
It increases customer satisfaction, which is very important in any industry. And especially when everything, as you said, Steve, readily available, if someone with a phone call, if someone interprets the tone of voice incorrectly or anything like that, you lose control over the other end, over the recipient of the information. So being short and clear on what's coming, when it's coming, it eliminates a lot of room for error, increases customer satisfaction. And as you said yourself, Steve, you're working on the customer ratings upon the delivery, and that's a very quickly visible result, I believe.
Yeah, thanks for sharing this. Amazing. And Forrest, an instance from your side when it comes to nonprofit sector and meeting or exceeding customer expectations there?
Yeah, I think that visibility and communication piece is really showing us how we can better interact with our clients. So the notification prior to the route starting, and then the in-route notification, um, that's really turning that delivery experience, which is already a very personal experience between the driver and the person receiving the meals. It's extending that familiar environment. And I know that probably a lot of people think that, well, the elderly, the seniors that are receiving meals probably don't, have the smartphone or don't use email. But I think many would be surprised how many do use that as a connection to the outside world. And I think a lot of folks don't realize the amount of loneliness and isolation that occurs. So dependence on devices like that are pretty important, and a lot of elderly folks do utilize stuff like that. And for that reason, like our ability to expand that experience, to receive notifications or send notifications, and our clients to receive them, kind of extends that that positive experience of connection. And I think it's important for folks to know that for many of our clients, the only social interaction that they are going to receive is us, right? So we might go there once a week, twice a week, or sometimes every day. And if they don't have family and they live in an area where they can't drive to a senior center or something like that, the only connection is us. And when we're there delivering the meal and we're providing that wellness check, an opportunity to extend that even through a notification or an email saying, "Hey, your driver's on the way to deliver your meals." That's pretty significant for someone that that's the only experience that they have in a week, and we love to be able to make that a bigger part of their day. So I touched on the fact that we are competitive. We're in a competitive environment, and being able to have a customer that sees those notifications and has that extended experience, that sets us apart from our competitors as well. A client doesn't have to stay with us. They can easily go to another meal provider, or a meal provider that has, a small package delivery service deliver their meal, and there's no personal interaction for something like that. But for us, being able to kind of capitalize on that experience, allow that client to know that we're there because we care and we want to share that extension of our service to the community. We hope that they would choose us instead of someone else for providing a service like that. And we've had very positive results by implementing that. So
that's amazing when you think how personal sometimes technology can be. And in this respect, we're talking about the personal service, right? And that interaction, which is so important in the lives of those people. It's great to hear such examples, because sometimes probably if you don't work with that day to day, you simply don't think about that. This could really be an impact. We talked about things that technology changes. There are different generations coming to. Steve mentioned management positions, and they are expecting certain levels of service. We also talked about that furniture company case where they basically came asking for a solution to a single problem, and then got a comprehensive package solving quite a few more. And probably I wouldn't make any mistake by saying that much of that is related to the fact that technology is developing fast. It's growing. The areas that technology can cover is increasing. And of course, customer feedback helps such software providers as Trackpod basically offer new features that would basically solve new problems. And sometimes the problem could be actually not knowing what is there in the market available. So I would like to use this opportunity, Gedra. Maybe you could help us keep on track on what's happening and maybe list 3 latest items that were made available by Trackpot or something.
As you very correctly noted, here at Trackpod, any new features are introduced based on our customers' requirements, because that's the only way that you can stay ahead. The top three, I would say, apart from the most popular, such as ePODs and live tracking notifications, ETAs, there are a few more that I would like to note. So, for example, load check, having control on the load check. We have recently upgraded the load check facility, which now gives indications of the site number, where the item is going. You can also, that's also a very new feature, you can sort of assign the place on your vehicle where that item, that parcel, that delivery is meant to go. Scanning without requiring any additional devices, that can be done purely from your mobile phone. No need to, any feature that we introduce is trying to minimize any human errors. So there's no need for any additional devices, that nobody forgets any additional devices. Everything gets done on one place instantly, and everybody is happy. We've also introduced customization of shipping labels, and this was a very popular demand from our customers and partners to increase brand awareness of the companies who use Trackpod. So the customization is now available on shipping labels, not only on the emails that are getting sent out. Also, the live tracking page can now be sort of tailored to suit your brand and make much more awareness with that. Analytics have been newly updated. I could go on and on. It's impossible to choose just three, because every time we update something else, something new, we add, we keep close communication with our clients. So there's a lot more on the list for improvements, but that's how we stay ahead, I would say, by listening to our customers and introducing the features that work for them.
Thank you for the update. I think there are a few questions about the product, so I'll just use this opportunity to ask you, Gedra, about a few of them as we are talking about some features. And Pete Ward is asking whether Trackpod's mapping and routing capability is still suited for vans and small lorries as opposed to heavy goods vehicles. So I assume that the answer is actually yes, it's suited for that as well, right?
Yes, indeed. There are certain settings on your driver's application that you can also tweak in terms of navigation from site to site. But yes, for routing and optimization, you are able to select whether it's what kind of a vehicle you're operating. So it is very much suited for all modules of vehicles.
Thank you. We also have a question from Mohanad Alansi, who's been using Trackpod for 2 years already. And he's asking whether there is an option to integrate Trackpod with WhatsApp. So we make sure that Trackpod already uses phone notification, SMS notifications as part of the service. But if you need any extra integrations, they are available via Zapier. We're integrating to 5,000 plus business tools. So yes, there are quite a lot of opportunities there. Thank you for these questions. Sorry, I cut off for a second. Thank you for those questions. We've got a few minutes left. If you have any other questions, please send them in the chat and we'll try to address them. I would like us to look real quickly, if possible, to the rapidly evolving landscape of distribution and logistics. Are there any emerging trends or technological advancements that you would foresee having the most profound impact on the industry in the next few years, for example? Any insights into how, for instance, businesses could prepare for those changes? Would anyone like to take this?
I would. So I think that a common misconception is just how valuable that relationship is between the driver and the client. It's a level of familiarization that really can't be achieved other than like through family members or coworkers. So it's a unique thing that happens in society, delivery driver and the consignee or the receiver, correct? The learning formula that we have for connecting with clients that are receiving our products, right? It's never real time in the moment, but with your software and the direction that I feel like you're going with the notifications and the ability to collect data from clients through those notifications, I see that learning model changing, where you could have you could leverage essentially that familiar relationship between the driver and the client, and the driver could in fact be capturing real-time data that would allow just an experiential feedback, and if you have specific things that are needed or might interest a client, you could cater those messages or that data grab. But I do see the learning formula changing in the future, and I think that one way that really has been untouched is leveraging that relationship. So, and with what you guys already do, I think it is in the process of changing. So.
Thank you, Forrest. Steve, any insights into what's coming up in the next few years in terms of the evolving technology landscape?
Well, I'll be greedy on this one. Usually our distributions start following large UPS, large Amazon. We have something to offer now that they don't. So I know that I just ordered something on Amazon and I had that, it'll be there whenever. They give you that 4-hour block, or, it'll be there sometime in the morning. It's nice to have a pinpointed accuracy when you are expecting something. We have a lot of clients in the janitorial business that meet us at some of these large centers. Maybe they're cleaning an Amazon today, or maybe they're cleaning a Walmart today, but it's their goods that they use to help service their customers. And with updated ETAs, we are ahead of the game there, where they'll meet us on time to be there every time to get their goods that they require. So I could see that the technology could be a little bit more adapted there's so many points of capture of data now with trucks and trailers that regulate the weights in your vehicles, how to integrate everything together. I could see, development of a one-stop shop for all of these data points that are being collected to present in a useful way for companies in distribution that could use them in real time. It's out there. It's just right now it's getting very challenging, always very challenging to deal with so much data coming in. How do you get that data to make it work for you, right? So do you really need every single little bell and whistle? I just got notified somebody opened my front door at my house. Well, okay. So how do you integrate all of these changes that are happening now in a distribution world? The ultimate goal is to satisfy the customer. They want their products on time so that they could service their customers and clients as well. So to share the key points and information that is being collected out there in the world, I could see that these telematic companies that you guys, I would assume, are like that, and I do, because you have the key data points that we need to help service any customers for any deliveries.
Thank you. Just looking at the questions right now. There's a question about the product, and we'll address this together. While creating an order in TrackPod, do we have the option to attach the document?
There is no direct way to attach the documents. However, utilizing our notes field, you could upload a link to your cloud storage, and that could be done as a workaround to direct attachment. We do have a lot of customers who do that, especially with the very lengthy terms and conditions documentation that need to go out. Usually a link to the cloud storage is the best solution.
Thank you. I see there are some comments. Pete, we are happy to discuss HGV tracking with you outside the webinar and see how we can actually find a solution for your business. There's a question about opening up a TrackPod franchise in South Africa. So, Mohammed, thank you very much for your question. I'm sure our commercial team will reach out to discuss the opportunities. So far, it seems that we could continue this conversation, but unfortunately, we are out of time. I would like to thank our speakers, Steve Delfati, Forrest Ressman, and Gedre Chesnulevicina for sharing their insights today. And also a big thank you goes to our audience. We hope you enjoyed today's webinar organized by TrackPod. Just before we close, I wanted to share that this webinar is the first in the series of webinars where we will be looking at trends and market developments affecting the logistics industry, exploring best practices, and sharing leader insights. So make sure you follow TrackPod on LinkedIn. We just shared a button to make the life easier for you at the top of your screen. And yeah, keep yourself informed about the next webinar and the opportunities to join them. As for today, thank you once again, everyone, for sharing your insights, for your questions, and for joining us. And see you next time. Bye.